What's happening, guys? Good morning. I am recovering very nicely. Thank you very much. And I've been doing the right thing, taking care of myself. So that is very awesome because when I was younger, I could not do that. I did not value myself. Now, of course, it's complicated because on the outside, nobody would have known this. But due to a number of things in my youth, I actually had a mindset that was very counterproductive for slow progress and recovery, which is something that I've definitely taken on these days and has proved incredibly valuable. And the reason is because with serious injuries, you have a window of opportunity. There's a window. It's like it's the strike when the iron is hot. There's a moment when you can get a lot of recovery for a very little price. And that's usually in the very beginning. Or you can create essentially a long-term problem and always work on it. Ronin Man does not like that. Ronin Man does not have long-term problems. Fuck that. And the reason why I don't is because I take it very seriously. I fix it when I see it and I focus on it. And it's something I've learned. I've learned to do. And whenever you learn something that you didn't know naturally, you know it at a different level than somebody who kind of naturally understood it. I take it like super seriously and literally have been spending all my time on it. Same as when I studied Chinese, exactly the same. I knew I was behind the eight ball. I knew I was older. I knew that I didn't know any Chinese at all, didn't know any words, didn't have any background at all. And I knew that was a major, disadvantage because many of the people I studied with had Chinese parents. And they had heard Chinese either from their grandmothers or in the background or on TV. And they had a huge subconscious advantage over me, and I knew that. So I needed to take it really seriously. So anyway, thank you very much for all the well wishes and I would say the time of danger is past, and I'm feeling fucking great. Okay, so a couple of big announcements. So I want to make some more details about the Southern California Summit. First, I want to say it's the very first America Summit. That is a big fucking deal. Now, I've got some plans for the future, and I'm not sure if I'm going to do them or not, but I've got some plans that I'm considering. So in the U.S. and North America. So anyway, that's up in the air, but I know for sure the summit is going to be in La Jolla, California. If you look online, search Google Images for La Jolla. Freaking gorgeous. Okay, it's like literally one of the prettiest towns in California. Like it's absolutely stunning. The views are just amazing. The weather is great. This time of year is a good time of year. It's still a little bit cool, so you will have to have jeans and a jacket, like for nighttime if we're out walking at night, stuff like that. But it should be nice. It should be very nice. So that's we got the location set in stone, 100%. You can either drive there or fly there. I don't know the exact options. La Jolla is in San Diego, so probably, I'm guessing San Diego Airport, International Airport is probably the best place to fly into. But there might be a local airport nearby La Jolla. I don't know. I haven't looked on the map. I know in Orange County there's John Wayne Airport, right, which is more convenient for a lot of Orange County. So I don't know if there's that type of thing that has reasonable prices or maybe even lower prices. I don't know. If you're flying from inside North America, possibly. Anyway, look into it. It's going to be March 20th. 21st and 22nd. And I want to go a couple things. There's a lot of things in this one. I want to say why summits? Like, why are summits so special? Like, what happens at summits? I give you an idea. Okay, so after we have a summit, okay, the guys become friends. It's really common for people to meet up with each other, go to each other's houses, drive long distances to hang out. And all the guys post pictures, I'm here in Silicon Valley with Andy, and we're having lunch, wish you guys were here, things like that. There's a lot of talk after the summit, guys getting together in Koh Samui, in Japan, in all over the place, wherever people are, really. It's people are getting together and sending pictures. And that is awesome. And that is a sign that there's real camaraderie, right? There's real value in meeting the guys at the level that we meet each other. You can meet the same guys, but if you're not in a summit, you're not going to know what they really think, right? You could meet them at work or you could meet them somewhere else. There's something special about the way that we share at the summits. and the way that it unfolds, how one person will do something that will motivate the rest of people to do something, right? And so it's kind of this cascading thing, right? So I wanted to, and also I wanted to say one thing. Somebody asked me, should we have a reunion? And I said, I think it's good to do another summit. And the reason why is just the same reason why your high school reunion gets old. It's like the same blood, a lot of the same sharings, and everybody's kind of somewhat on the same page, guys who get together. It's totally different when you get a new guy, a fresh guy who's figuring it out right in front of you. It helps you to understand, A, what you went through, and B, what other guys are going through, and also the kind of complications that happen to you. It really gives you a lot of, I would say, clarity and helps you to, I guess, fortify your beliefs or deepen your understandings of how everything works, because you see somebody else and they're very, it's like very fresh for them and often very difficult. I can tell you this, when Hamish at the Australian Melbourne Summit, when he called his ex-wife and put her on the phone, I mean, that right there, what came out of that was pretty much worth the whole summit. Like, everybody looked at each other and we knew. Everybody understood, And guys listening definitely had a realization, but it was totally different if you were there. It was fucking incredible. It was monumental. And I want to thank Hamish for doing that, because that's the type of thing. It's taking risks, right? And being honest, that's the type of thing that really helps somebody who's in a difficult spot. So being politically correct, dancing around the edges. And sometimes when you've done something too long, people can't relate to it, and you often forget the things that you did in the beginning to get where you are. And that's why fresh blood is so important. It helps you to say, okay, I don't want to do that again, right? I don't want to get in that situation. I remember this and that, right? So, it is very, very valuable. The fresh blood, new friendships, new discussions, deeper discussions. And the older guys who've been to a lot of summits, there's something different. Like, why do guys keep coming? Guys keep coming to summits, they keep coming. And why is that? It's sometimes we don't know why we do things, right? It's trying to, I would suspect, I can ask, let you comment yourself why you go, but I'm guessing like it's more of a, same for myself. It's like always getting a new angle and protecting myself at a deeper level. And sometimes, every once in a while, there's a whole new door that's unlocked that I didn't even know about and I wouldn't have known about. And when you open that closet, it is dark in there and there's a lot of skeletons and a lot of pain in that closet. And when someone else opens that door, it helps me to say, ooh, shit, because a lot of these things are so universal for guys. And, even if I haven't been through it myself, I've been through something similar, because these are archetypal problems that guys are having. It's not like, oh, I never had that problem. It's like, no, you did. Somewhere, somehow, at some level, there's so many things guys have in common. Now, of course, people go deeper on different issues and this and that, and that's what makes it so difficult to recover, because you become the anomaly in the numbers. With being honest, like no guys are being honest anywhere, like basically not being honest about this stuff. That marriage video with Sydney and Stingray and me, that stuff, I don't think in the same way, I've never heard it explained that way. And you can see the comments, like guys are really, really, like single guys are really, it's hitting home for them. And the reason why is because it's explained in a different way. Sometimes you just need something to be explained in a different way in order to fully understand it. I had a back exercise this morning that I wasn't quite getting, and I watched a couple of doctors online, and they explained it in a different way, and I went and did it this morning, and it worked great. So even though I knew theoretically what it was called, it's called the McKinsey stretch, but when I listened to them talk, about starting with the pillow and blah, 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 the specifics, but it helped me to say, oh, okay. All right, I see. I can do this slowly. I don't have to like push into it, right? Which is what I was doing, right? So anyway, there's so much value in the summits. There's so much value in getting in together. And I want to give a shout out to all the guys who've been to summits before. And I want to make this announcement public, is for any of you guys that have been to a summit before, okay, the price is less, okay? And this will be... There'll always be a difference, although the price could change in the future depending on future summits, if we rent houses, if we rent rooms, and depending on where we live. But I want to make this a permanent thing where long-term supporters, guys who come, you know, like I value guys. You guys are like fucking deep friends. I really like, it's so important. When I see you guys, I'm just like, oh, you know, so-and-so's here. Yes. You know what I mean? Like, we don't even have to talk. It's like, we know like a lot of stuff before, right? It's like, and then at the right moment that they'll say something and it's like, boom, you know, we'll be out walking or late at night, you know, whatever, washing dishes and standing next to each other. And I'll hear something and it's like not a rehash of the old shit. It's like a brand new deepening or a very, very sincere question. And that is just gold. So for you guys that are long-term, I want to make the price $100 less. Okay. So for now it's $398 for newcomers, US dollars. And it's $298 for you guys that are returned who've been to another summit before. So that's the prices. And you can either pay by PayPal. I can send you a link. There's a quick, what do you call it? Like I have to ask you a few questions. I'm going to ask different questions to different people. I want to make sure that we're not letting in any journalists and all that. So we want to keep it very tight. We want to keep it. That's my job. And it's gone very, very well. And like I said, it's just incredible value. And I would say this to anybody who's worried is you just have to look at yourself and think, like, there's been 7 summits now and everybody's fucking stoked. So there's got to be a point when you say to yourself, wait a second, maybe this is okay. You know, maybe it's okay. It's okay to work on myself. Maybe it's okay to take a risk, you know? And, you know, I think that sometimes takes time. It takes time for a guy to see that there's value in sharing this stuff, because I know that kind of feeling. I know that feeling because it's even though it's not real because they're anonymous, but there's something about the human mind that feels like we're somehow betraying our past self or betraying a lover or a grandmother who wanted us to get married or whatever the fuck it was. There's some kind of doubt or it's often not what we think is stopping us. It's often something else, right? So I would say if you're having that kind of doubt, just to reconsider, you know, as time goes on, because we love having you. And honest guys, I want guys who are going to really go for it. Like we've had every single one. So you got to be willing to fucking go for it. This is not like a bystander thing. Although we did have 2 guys out of all the summits that could hardly talk. Like they would like literally could not talk. They would like break down. And I think those guys got a lot out of it too, because I would suspect, you know, from what I see in the comments in the group chats, because we have a group chat for each summit, and the group chat, I would suspect these guys have had major changes in their life. So there's different ways, there's different speeds, there's different processes and all that. So welcome. And yeah, let's, you know, add me on, if you're going to come, okay? I don't want people to add me that aren't going to come. Okay, you need to really make a commitment that you're going to come or not come. Not coming is fine, but if you're going to come, add me on Telegram app, and my ID is Ronin Free. Okay, so if you've decided that you are going to come, okay, and you can get the time off, and you do have the, you know, the resources, and you're willing, you're into it, you know, if you're willing to come, add me on Telegram app. If you're not sure, you know, maybe, you know, you could send me an email or something, but I want the guys on Telegram app to be the real deal, that you're going to come, because part of the whole thing is you're sharing like very honestly, and you don't want to, none of the guys want to do that with people they don't know and never met and never committed, you know? So this is my this is my message to the past guys who did sign up on Telegram and never came and changed their mind. This is not a good thing. This is really got to look at yourself on this stuff. It's like a way of getting some value for free, and I would say, and being non-committal. And this is the type of thing that when you're dealing with deep personal change, this type of thing does not help you. In my experience, it requires some pretty deep changes. Although if somebody wants to stay the same and just kind of think the same thoughts and just kind of be the same and pretend like they're doing something, that's another type of person. And I think for some guys that's enough. I don't know, But for myself, I'm all in. And I believe that we are on a mission. I think what we're doing, and I got to say this, I've never said this before. I think we're on a fucking mission. It's like in that Blues Brothers. We're on a mission from God. That was funny, and it was just in the same spirit that I say it. I think we're on a mission, and I think that we're like breaking down barriers, and I think this is going to become a great thing. I really do. I really believe this is going to become that what we're contributing here is going to be the foundation for future societal changes and mindsets and helping. I already know from the emails I get that we many guys are like, just it's insane the amount of help. Guys are emailing me that they were going to commit suicide before the channel, all kinds of things. I probably get an email like that every week, and really honest sharing. And so I really appreciate that. And I would say to take it to the next level, the best way, and it's fucking tons of fun, and you make friends, and you're going to see a kick-ass area. So the best way is to meet in person. There's something in the human mind that doesn't quite connect digital with real yet, maybe with artificial intelligence at some level in the future, or virtual reality, that there'll be something, or maybe a combination of artificial intelligence with, some kind of chip and some kind of sharing and virtual reality that will become like a real experience. But as it is today, to make the rough changes, to make the heavy lifting, the fucking heavy lifting that we need to do to make permanent changes, not to fuck around and dilly-dally, to make permanent changes and move on, and to get new mindsets that are just foundations, like fucking cornerstones for a good life. That requires meeting in person, I believe. And it's been so for me. And that's why I do this whole thing. So if you guys have any doubt, this is straight for me. This is the reality. This shit changes lives, and it's fun too. So I want to let that message out, because I know some guys are not, it's sometimes like when good things happen to me, I don't verbalize them, I have to really think about it. But it's been watching the chats and I've been realizing, holy shit, this is really fucking meaningful. Like, fuck, and this is like amazing. Like, fuck, I'm not even doing a good job explaining it. Like, that's like, I'm seeing the undercurrents of like, fuck, this is like so fucking cool, man. There's something about helping another man too. Like, there's something about that. There's something in men, I think. It's maybe some kind of a father thing with it. Like, helping another person just gives enormous, what do you call it? Like, courage and ability to change, I know for myself that as soon as I had although you guys know my story, I've never met my daughter. I haven't been able to meet her. But as soon as I had her, it was very easy for me to make changes in my life, because I just had a deeper, even if no matter what happens, is that she was out there. She's in the world. Yeah. And that gave me, I remember when I started chewing tobacco again. And I used to chew tobacco when I was young. And I did it for a while. And I remember one day, I thought to myself, I said, because it's always difficult for me to quit, because I've gone on and off for like over 20 years. 30 years I've gone on and off chewing tobacco. Once in a while, I'll do it for a while, I'll do it for a year, half year, whatever. Anyway, when this time was different, because I was doing it and I looked at myself and I thought, what would I tell my daughter about chewing? What would I tell her? She would say, well, Daddy, why do you do that? What would I say? I would say, oh, it's difficult. Like, would that be what she, you know what I mean? Is that what I want to say? I was like, I just put it away. That was it. I was done. Like, it was literally never again. Like, I was just like, gone. And I didn't even think about it. Like, I didn't have the usual withdrawals that I have. It gave me a motivation to say, okay, like things that are hard, like fucking man up. Like, seriously, this is when man up works, you know? It's like, no, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that to myself, and I don't want to be that as an example to anybody else. So sometimes a kind of a higher motivation and helping other men is one of those. There's various higher motivations that give us kind of extra power, you know, extra resources, mentally, physically, financially, because when you get motivated, people around you notice, okay? Most people are stumbling around with the same problems over and over. It's like in a circle, like a zombie, just looking down and just muttering. Well, I went to work and I did this, and my boss and I was late. I did this, and then I don't like that, and you know my car's like this. They're just like mumbling to themselves, circling around with the same problems. That's what I see. That's my vision of mankind. Most people are in that state. They're not willing to make any real changes. They don't know anybody making any real changes. They don't see any possibility of any real changes. They don't have the whatever it takes internally or whatever it takes externally. It's just not there. And there's this kind of just struggling where they go to the gym, but they don't see any progress, right? They try to do something, like learn a language, whatever it is, something that they really want to do, and they don't have whatever it takes to make that happen. And that's my job. That's my job and this is why the summit, obviously I make some money off of it, right? And that's what motivates me to really get my shit together too, so that I can bring my A game when I come. Because it's very different, okay, when you're friends with somebody, okay, and when they're trying to help you with their expertise, okay? I have a friend, he's an awesome pickup artist. The guy is like so talented. But when we hang out, we never would talk about that. Why? Well, one, I'm not like, it's not my big thing anymore, but also because that's his job. That's his business. Like, the last thing he wants is friends asking him this shit, right? It's like, you know, that's my fucking, like, it reminds him of work, even though he used to love it. Like, it's work for him, right? It's like, he doesn't, it's not the same as it used to be, right, with him, right? But, and I don't get the same benefit from being his friend, because as a friend, I just see him as a human being. Like, that's what I get from him. So if you're trying to be friends with somebody to get their expertise, it just doesn't work, because the better they are at something, the less they're going to want to give it to you, right? You know what I mean? Like, Donald Trump doesn't want to talk about getting elected. Kobe Bryant, rest in peace, didn't want to teach you how to dribble, right? He didn't want to teach you how to win this, or, you know, why that shot did this. That's for the journalist. That's when he's on camera. That's when he's on, right? That's not when he's hanging out with his friend. With his friend, he wants to send probably a meme to his friend, or like fuck around, or, you know, go eat some food that he likes, or, you know what I mean? Or take a trip, or just whatever, you know, he's got his own personal thing. So with the summits, I know that I have some kind of, I don't know what it is, but it's some kind of a gift to help other people. It's been something I've been able to change. And this is partly why I started the whole channel, because I've had guys, this is the truth. There's a guy, Jeff Brown, actually, and he calls me every year and he says, and I've known him since, let's see, maybe 98, 97. Anyway, he calls me every year and he's like, you saved my life. Once a year, he calls me once a year. And I'm like, dude, like, I didn't save your life. Other people did this, and there's this. And he's like, no, shut the fuck up. He's like, you were the one guy you could reach me, you know? You could reach me. No one else could reach me. And he calls me every fucking year and tells me that. And it's like, finally, after about 20 years of this, I finally realized, wow, maybe I, you know, because other people do say stuff like that to me, you know? And I'm like, oh, okay, well, maybe I do have some kind of, I don't know what the fuck it is, but some kind of skill that's useful in deep personal change. And I want to bring that 100% whenever there is a summit. It's not the same. When we're friends, I don't want like fucking endless questions. Like it requires a lot of brain power for me to figure this shit out. Like I get real tired. Like I'm busy. I got stuff on my mind, right? But at a summit, it's totally different, man. It's 100% focus and 100% honesty, as deep as I can and as quickly as I can, no matter what's going on. It could be after a big meeting. I'm still on. I realize that. And that's okay with me. I'm used to that. That was part of my life living in Asia is that you look different. People are always asking you questions, and you're always kind of on. You could be walking to the convenience store to get whatever, cup of coffee or something, and then somebody will ask me about, what I think about World War II or, certain political figure or, like some law or whatever the hell it is. And, I accepted my responsibility many decades ago that, as an expat, you are somewhat of a minor, very minor diplomat. And you are, people watch you and they see in their minds, they see this other country, and now of course, long-term friends is different, but with like, some guy on the street. And I accepted that responsibility years ago, I realized that people do see me in a certain way, partly because the way I look. If I looked Asian, then I wouldn't have this exact same responsibility, but looking the way I look, I mean, there's no question I'm not from Asia. So it's like right away, people will come up to me and say things, like, what do you think about this? Or, do you like this? And I love this. Do you like this? And I realized that, I like people. So it's not like this is a big deal, but once in a while when I would be sick, I'd be not in a good mood or, whatever. And then somebody would ask me something that I thought was a little passive aggressive. I used to kind of like, I don't know. I just had a little bit of difficulty when I was in my mid 20s, early 20s, but that's totally past. Time has passed. And I accepted that I am seen as a certain person with a certain passport when I'm traveling in certain countries. And I accept that responsibility. I'm on, when I'm out on the streets. And it's kind of a relief when I'm back in a Western country, actually, in some ways. Although I totally do accept the role when I'm around. But it's kind of nice when no one like looks, it's like, whoo, I could just totally relax, you know what I mean? So anyway, I bring my A game. I'm on, and other guys do too. And, like one person infects the others and it goes deeper and the rabbit hole just gets dug and dug and dug. And we go down the fucking rabbit hole, not in a linear fashion. It's more like straight. And then it's just like, whoosh, 400 feet down. Like that's more like the digging that goes on at a summit. So don't expect like, 1 second. It's like, no, just be ready. It's going to happen. You don't have to do shit. Just be honest and try to help and try to share and try to figure out your own mind and, and help other people. Right. Cause that's the other thing is like, there was so much amazing help at the last one, man. I don't want to get into specifics, but there was guys that were just gold, man, just there. Really there for other guys in key moments. And I'm telling you, I'm an unforgiving guy in many ways because I have, my memory is more like a picture. I see, and I'm just like, oh, fuck. That person did not help that person when times were tough and they tried to make up for it. I see that in my life. And I never forget it. I'm just like, I have some kind of, it's called the truth teller. Children are different ways if you have children. When I was a child, I had a truth teller type personality. So if like grandpa was drunk, or if dad was drunk, I would just go, well, grandpa's drunk, and then other people would say, oh no, he's had a couple, he's this, he's that. But no, he was drunk. And I'd be like, no, he's drunk. He just fell over. Yeah, he's drunk. Yeah. Yeah, dad just painted a line across the house because he fell off the ladder. Yeah, he's painting, right? He's drunk, right? And I was I was always like that as a kid. And it caused me a lot of pain too, because often society does not like a truth teller. And I'm not saying that a truth teller is good or bad. It's just the way I was. I was just that way. I could not, it didn't occur to me like why you would not tell the truth. Like, or at least, I guess at some level I realized that you don't have to be a truth teller, but you need to be a truth seer. And that's something that I am, once in a while, I won't tell the truth now because I realize that many people are not interested at all and that it might even be counterproductive to say it at that moment and better to wait, But a truth seer, hell yeah. Truth seer, this is fucking key. And then that's how you start to change. You start to see what you're doing. And that's the what do you call it? The courage of many of the men that come to the summit. It's very easy to get a Ford with the big Ford letters on the front, Ford tough, driving a truck, drink beer, watch football, be the man, be the outside tough guy, okay, that can handle everything, always have the answers, always be right in retrospect. It's easy to do that all the way through life. But it's a very, very empty and fake existence. And so telling the truth, it's uncomfortable. It requires change. It's very inconvenient, at many times in life. But I think that's, for myself, that's the road I'm on, And I found that it's just wonderful because I can make changes like so much faster than other people. Because I just say, this is foolish, I look like an idiot, why am I doing this? And people say, oh, no, other people, I'll be like, no, I look like an idiot, right? And they'll be like, okay, well, yeah, kind of. I'll be like, all right, so I look like an idiot and I'm doing this thing. So why am I doing this thing? And I think in my mind, I go in. It's not about manning up and being tough, right? I'm just going in, I'm saying, what fantasies do I have that are causing me to do this, right? I'm not like I'm hard on myself. I will say, so I'm hard on myself with the original realization, but then when it's time to change, I'll say to myself, wait a second. What is it that's causing me not to do this? Like what belief system, what understanding, what belief do I have that's causing me not to change? Because I'm not stupid, okay? So I might be doing something stupid, but there's a good reason, and I've realized this. There's a good reason why I'm doing this. So I have to go in. So let me give you an example. So for example, I might say, let's just say, have a difficult time in accepting something. Like somebody is not nice. Like I'll just be having a nice day and someone will do something or say something that's really mean, okay, to me. And why would I ignore that? Well, because a lot of things. One might be that there's a lot of implications in changing and being honest, right? I might have to change jobs, or I don't have a job, but I might have to move. I might have to reevaluate the fantasy I've created around this person. So it could be a relative, okay? It could be any kind of relationship, friend or anything. And it's not fun. It's not fun when you have a fantasy about somebody being either a great friend or a great this or that. And then to say, wait a second, I just got a red flag. I just got a fucking red flag, right? And it's very easy to say, it's just one flag. But it's important for me, and how I change is I'll say, okay, I got a red flag, all right? Not convenient, not fun, didn't want to see that, but is it true? And I'll go in, I'll think about it, I'll say, yep, that is absolutely a red flag. And if anybody else saw that, they would say that's a red flag. And I got to say, okay, it's a fucking red flag. Next, I'll say, okay, I'm not changing yet. Why? Why am I not changing? What is the reason? What is the good, logical, rational reason why an intelligent man would not change right now? And usually the reason is something like this. It's an idealization. So for example, you might idealize your mother, your father, your brother, your friend. And to start to question that idealization is incredibly scary, because it's often requires like a lot of rewriting of history and everything. And it's not fun. And it's obviously like, it's not accepted by other people, and it won't be accepted. It's kind of the same as if you suddenly, let's say you're a policeman, right? It's very easy. Let's say you see somebody shoplift, right? Let's just say you see a pillar of the community that you like shoplift. Okay. So you're a policeman. You're in there having a cup of coffee and you see somebody steal something. It is very inconvenient for you to say anything. because, maybe they're like related to you, or they're a friend, or they're a friend of a friend, or they have a lot of power or money. It's very easy to say, oh, you know what? I don't see that. But that powerless person over there, I see that. So I'm going to come down hard on them, right? It's very, very easy to do that because you have rational reasons that keep your beliefs and your inability to change in place. Okay, you have to understand, you're not stupid. You don't need to beat yourself up. You don't need extra discipline in this case. What you need is to start looking at what is stopping you from changing now. What mindset do you have, or what pain would you have to go through in order to change this thing, right? And when you do that fearlessly, and you start to write down that you idealize this person as this, and that you start to write the stuff down, then you'll start to say, okay, there's something really healing to this. So you say, all right, I thought I just needed to push this one through, but now I can see why I'm not pushing it through so quickly, because it's not something that I wanted to realize. It's not something that's, so convenient in my life, right? And then give yourself that time, right? And then you say, okay, come back to it and say, is it still true? Yes, it is true. Yeah. Do you see any other red flags? Yes, I do. Okay, so now let's reevaluate. Let's reevaluate that idealization that you have, right? And then you say, well, there's these 2 red flags. Sometimes it requires something like, for deep personal changes, to tell somebody, say to a friend, okay, don't say anything, don't say what I should do, but I just want you to listen to this and say, I have a friend, or my wife, my friend, whatever, and they did this. And then what do you think about that? And then they'll say, that's fucked. Like, that is fucked. And I'll say, why is it fucked? They'll say, well, it's fucked. Okay, well, it's fucked because if they did this, then you couldn't trust them with that. So that would make you have to treat them differently. And then you say, right. And treating them differently would require a lot of energy, and it would be like, would I make friends with somebody that I had to watch? I had to, you know what I mean? I needed to doubt and have under under surveillance or something. Like, no, I wouldn't do that. I don't choose friends like that, right? I choose friends that I trust. Now, they make mistakes, of course, but I trust them, right? That's why I let them into my inner circle, right? And so then I say, okay, well, I would not bring this friend in or whatever if I had known this. Like, my friend might say, would you have made friends with this guy? And you can ask yourself this. You can say, would you have made friends with this guy? Would you have gotten this job? Would you have married her? If you knew this thing, right, that they were untrustworthy in this scenario, would you do that? Right? And then you'd say, well, no, I wouldn't, right? And then you say, okay, what is the other red flag, right? And then you start to add them up. And then you by being A, honest with yourself, and then B, realizing that you're rational, realizing that the changes you don't make are for a very good reason, and realizing you have to dig into those things and find out, in the end, you might decide not to make the change, but just this process of deep personal change gives you vision that will be very valuable, even if you decide in the end, for whatever reason, you might decide not to say anything, right? And I can think of a couple examples. Let's say your grandfather's about to pass away, he's very old. You might not want to tell him something just because it's going to upset him, right? So, there's certain reasons why you would not do that, right? So anyway, it gives you ability to change. It gives you, it gives you like a self-honesty that's just absolutely refreshing and it really makes you feel good. Like, this whole process that we go through, either in this case at Summits, it's just absolutely beautiful. It's such a relief, man. It's just like you realize that you knew things all along, right? You fucking knew it all along. It's just that you just, didn't have the tools and the insight and the support to fucking make that change. And when you finally do, you're just like, fuck that. Like, I will never fucking go back to that. Maybe a month later, you might say that because you're in a totally different mindset, right? That's my goal. That's my fucking goal in this channel, any kind of meetups, Unblackmailable, all this stuff is to help you to go through that process, right? Because it is not an easy process, and it doesn't. And this is what's wrong with, I think, a lot of channels is they're saying it's obvious, it's logical, just change. And then guys are like, wait a second, I'm not changing, right? My mindset's the same. Or I made changes, but they were negative. Now I feel more lonely. Now I'm not making, I'm not making human contact. What do I do next? There's no answers, right? The answers come from within yourself, right? The answers come from within, but you need somebody who can get in there, right? And in situations that can help to pull those motherfuckers out, right? So anyway, that's my pitch. And I want to say that's my life. That's the way I operate. And that is my very, very deep mindset. And I'm always looking for new ways to change, because there's always deeper and more quicker and more powerful ways that I'm always open-minded to. So anyway, thanks for listening. And I really appreciate, everything, especially through this whole back thing, man. Fuck. I was like, there was a couple days there when I was basically paralyzed. What I was saying, I was paralyzed. I could not move. And like 2 days where I was like, fuck, like what's going to happen here? And here I am coming out of it. And I realized that so much of life is like this. There's that dark period, right? You got to accept it. You got to realize it. You got to get the help you need. And I got to the orthopedic surgeon. I got there. Turns out I didn't need surgery, but which was a miracle, I thought. The doctor is still amazed, But it was a combination of doing the right thing, having the right advice, having the right friends, having my friend get the advice from the orthopedic surgeon in New York, him helping me, him flying here, he's giving me advice. The doctor, Charlie with yoga and the moves that I learned that help the muscles in my back and the muscles to make the recovery easier. If I would have been all sloppy and sloshy, this thing wouldn't have been too easy. It would have been a different kind of recovery than what I'm going through. So it's a combination of preparation, hard work, good friends, good information, and discipline, and not allowing myself to fall into the morass of either self-pity or pain or just hiding away or whatever happens when people get injured, and moving forward, right? And that's exactly what's fucking happening today. So I had last night on the train, me and my friend, we did actually picked up a couple of Japanese girls. It was fucking awesome. And I was just like, not that I want to do that all the time. I don't want to do that, but it was just like, I'm back. I'm back. No pun intended on my back. Anyway, guys, take it easy. Hope you guys have a good Saturday.